Hello and welcome, everyone. Our presentation today is called That Was Easy, Enabling Remote Frozen Sections on the Motic Easy Scan. And we are featuring Dr. Enric Solans from the University of Chicago Ingalls Memorial Hospital today. A little bit about myself. My name is Nicholas Chan. I'm the Director of Digital Pathology at Motic. And it's been my goal for the last 3 years since I joined the company to really drive growth of our solutions and help our digital pathology products work better and better for our clients and hospitals here in the US. And to give a little bit more about Motic. So Motic has been a optics manufacturer and an optics innovator for the last 30 years. Started from microscopes, and now we're doing scanners and also industrial solutions as well in the optics space. Globally, for the digital pathology division at Motic, we're one of the most widely used scanners in the world. A lot of our adoption is back in our home market in China, but also we have huge collaborations with organizations such as ASCP in Africa and with the Global Good Foundation, which is funded by the Bill Gates organization for building AI-enabled devices to fight malaria globally. And also, crucially, the British Columbia Cancer Agency is one of our closest and first partners as well. With that, I think I should turn it over to Dr. Solans so that he can give a quick introduction of himself, his background in digital pathology, and then we'll move on to the presentation today.
Well, thank you, Nick. My name is Enric Solans. I'm a board-certified pathologist in both anatomical and clinical pathology, as well as cytopathology. I'm part of a private pathology group that has been providing services to several hospitals and clinics in the Chicago area for over the last 30 years. I'm a general pathologist, but I subspecialize in cytology, prostate, lung, and also breast. The Chicago area has an unusual density of hospitals, many on the small side, so it is common for a single group to cover several of them. By doing that, we are able to provide pathology subspecialties where a single group of one or two pathologists could not. Because our group is spread over several hospitals with different subspecialties at different locations, intradepartmental consultations were a challenge and involved mailing the slides or even driving them from site to site to get a consult. This was obviously not practical, and it was time-consuming as well. So we looked at telepathology as a solution. Back in 2007, we started using the Coolpix system by Nikon. That was basically a server connected to a microscope that, in theory, could be controlled remotely. However, navigation through the slide and focusing were a challenge. A few years later, we switched to a Ventana Cycorio. The system would actually scan the slide, but it would take quite a bit of time doing so. So it was not practical for frozen sections or immediate adequacy evaluations in fine needle aspiration biopsies. The next step was to use our microscope-mounted camera, a Nikon camera with Nikon's NIS Element software, to share the image through WebEx. But this was also slow. The resolution was not that good, and the consultant had no control over the slide. So he or she was only seeing what we would show them. And then finally, we switched to Motic, which basically took care of all the issues we had with the previous system, the speed, the resolution, and the ease of use. So what are the benefits of digital pathology? Well, a couple of them come to mind right away. First one would be consultations. The slides are made available almost instantly anywhere in the world. There is no risk of damaging the slides during shipping because they remain in your lab and more than one consultant can access them at the same time. Another advantage is that the slides come to you. You are able to see the slides anywhere you have an internet connection, which is virtually anywhere. I mean, I have even looked at the slides on my iPhone with a perfect resolution. And this basically enables us to interpret frozen sections and immediate evaluations remotely, as we will demonstrate next.
Thank you very much, Dr. Solans. And it's clear that both you and your institution are not only early adopters of digital pathology, but also have plenty of experience with the various tools that have been available throughout the years and with how the whole industry has evolved as a whole. Now, before we get into the presentation, the proper presentation of Dr. Solans' experience with the software and the tools, and going through the case that he's prepared for us today, I wanted to quickly give an introduction to everyone listening about the FS Live tool and what it actually is. So the FS Live is a software suite that sits on top of the Motic whole slide image scanners. And what it does is it turns the scanner into a live image robotic microscope, meaning that you're looking at the sample in real time, and you can view it remotely through a video feed that comes right off the scanner, but also you can control all aspects of it, moving the stage XY and also adjusting focus and doing all of that fully, completely remotely. So this feature was designed to enable remote procedures such as frozen section reads or FNA adequacy in rows in either hospitals where your pathology office is very far away from the operating room, or just in cases where you have a network of hospitals and you have to leave main campus to go offsite for an operation, and you have to be there for the frozen section read to also enable you to do that from your office on main campus, so you don't have to do the traveling. The crucial thing about this is it's really all you really need is just the scanner, an internet connection, and a web browser, and you'll be able to log in and remotely control the scanner exactly as if you were sitting there. And the last point I really wanted to mention was this is one where we really went out of our way to get a lot of feedback and collaboration with top pathology departments around the country to get their feedback and to really understand how we can make this as seamless and as easy to use as possible. So as I mentioned in this presentation, Dr. Solans will be demonstrating for us one of his dermatopathology cases. It's a frozen section slide, and he will talk us through how he would use it and then also show us how he would view the slide remotely and then also give the consultative remarks. So Dr. Solans, I'll turn this over to you now.
Thank you. The slide we chose is actually a real case. This lady presented to her dermatologist with a lesion on the face that was biopsied, and the diagnosis was a basal cell carcinoma. It's a locally aggressive tumor that needs to be removed completely, particularly on the face. So the patient arrives to the clinic to have the basal cell carcinoma of the face removed. The dermatologist wants to make sure that she removes the entire tumor in one single setting while taking as little normal skin as possible. That's to minimize the scar. So she decides to get a frozen section. She removes the skin lesion, handles it to the tech. The tech inks the margins, cuts the specimen, prepares the glass slide, puts the slide on the scanner, and calls the pathologist. We'll transition to the view of the slide in the Motic scanner. When I log into the scanner using TeamViewer, the slide is already loaded. A whole image of the slide is displayed in the right upper corner. And the first thing I do, just to make sure I'm looking at the slide from the right patient, is to press L to see the label. For this demonstration, we have covered the name of the patient for privacy purposes, as this is a real case. I can make the whole slide larger by pressing the Tab key. And by the way, you can bring up all the available hotkeys by pressing A. That's a list of them. And you can go back to the main screen either by pressing A or Escape. In the whole image, you can see that there are 3 levels, each of them with several sections. Looking at the background tissue, you'll see that it appears blue because it is stained with toluidine blue instead of the usual H&E stain. We do that for a couple of reasons. The stain, the toluidine blue stain, takes literally 3 seconds versus several minutes when you use an H&E stain. And toluidine blue is non-toxic. It can be disposed in a regular sink, and it doesn't need special storage or flammable or toxic reagents like the ones used for H&E. This particularly is helpful for small clinics that may not have the extra space. I can move around the slide in several ways. I can use the mouse by grabbing the tissue and moving it. I can use the key arrow keys, right, left, up and down, or by right-clicking the mouse and bringing a bubble, a directional bubble, that I can control, just moving it to the direction that I want to follow. And I believe that's probably the best way or the easiest way to go around the slide. Now, to control the magnification, I can click the icons on the upper bar, 4x, 20x, and 40x, or I can use the number keys 1, 2, and 3 respectively for the different magnifications. So at this point, let's go now to 40x. And notice how quick the tissue is focused. You can always fine-tune by scrolling the mouse up and down. And that would use that, for example, if there was a fold on the tissue. To go back to normal focus again, you would press D. And that would basically automatically refocus. If the slide is under or over a stain, we can correct it by changing the gamma. You do that by using the bracket keys to decrease or increase the intensity of the stain. By doing that, there is no need to recut and have to re-stain another slide. Now at this point, let's go back to lower magnification so we can move around the slide. So, and now I will move to the area of the tumor, which is right here, and we'll go around the slide. I see here one of the margins. The tumor stops right here, and this margin here appears clear. So we'll at least clear a margin. By the way, there is a feature here that I like quite a bit. As you see here in the right upper corner again, there is several levels. One of the things that you need to know when you're looking at frozen is that you have looked at all the levels, means that you're not missing anything. In the system, I just press Q and brings up a hot map of all the areas that I have already visited. So I know what I've seen and I know what I have not seen. I can also put a marker. For example, in here, there is a clear margin here. I can just enter a marker, but clicking the letter M. You can see the marker right here. Also, I know where I am by looking at the rectangle that appears in the area of the slide. I can scroll to the other end of the slide. And here I see that this margin here is clear, but if I focus on this corner here, it seems to be some tumor that is extending to the margin. Let's go at a little higher magnification. And the tumor is very close, too close to probably call it negative. So at this point, I'm going to call this margin positive, and I have two ways to communicate with the dermatologist. The first one is just basically to give it a phone call. The other way would be just to open the notepad, which I can do by clicking Ctrl and N, where I can type my interpretation. I can also capture an image of the positive margin by clicking on the camera icon and then pressing the paste bar. And that will basically capture the file that I can put in anywhere I want. Talking to the dermatologist, she wants to know how large is the area involved so she can gauge how much skin to remove. To measure that, I basically go to the area of interest and press Control, right click, and that brings a measuring tool that gives me an idea how much the involved area is. In this case, 1/3 of a millimeter. So she knows that she doesn't need to take much to clear the margin. So in summary, we can do everything I would do with a microscope, but I'm in my office. I'm available at any time from anywhere. And I have features like the gamma correction, heat map, side markers, etc., that are not available with a regular microscope. And that ends the demonstration.
Thank you very much for the introduction and case run through, Dr. Solans.
Thank you.
So I'd like to turn to some discussion about the tool in general now and how it might be used or how it might be able to impact other institutions and hospitals. To begin with, having used it at your institution, how has it impacted your lab processes or benefited the patients?
Well, as you know, we are a group that covers different hospitals. Some of the hospitals are small enough that they cannot have a full-time pathologist. Still, the patients there still require, full-time attention, if you will. So let's suppose that a patient needs a biopsy. You would have to schedule a pathologist to go there and be able to assist in the biopsy, meaning either adequacy or doing a frozen section. So by being able to do that remotely, it not only benefits the patient and the hospitals, since they don't have to keep the patient extra time there, it always also benefits our group by being able to be present in places that, otherwise would require traveling and scheduling and things like that.
And I'm sure that it's been hopefully at least a little bit help. I know I hate to bring it up, but during COVID, that's also hopefully helpful that at least you're minimizing travel.
Oh, definitely. I mean, in many cases, we did not have a full staff lab during those times. Sometimes just to keep safe, we would have some pathologists at home, and they would be able to assist either by consulting or even by actually, interpreting frozen sections or immediate evaluations. The hospital was still open, but again, it wasn't always easy to have physical presence there during these times.
Great. So you're basically using this routinely at Ingalls and Silver Cross at the moment.
That's correct, and Roseland Hospital as well, yes, and other clinics, for example, dermatology clinics where they do frozen sections.
Mm-hmm. Was the validation process very complicated at your institution, or how did you validate?
No, it wasn't difficult. The way to validate the system, and there is some literature regarding that. The way we did it is that we selected a few cases, either immediate evaluations or frozen sections. And we had a pathologist blindly reading them with the system. And then we compared the results. Once they were satisfactory, we basically considered the system validated.
I see. Great. Thank you. And I know that many of our viewers would be interested in knowing how the implementation was like for you, because as you know, anytime a hospital onboards new technology, there's outside the validation, you have to learn the technology and you have to integrate it into your routine processes every day. What was the learning curve like for your institution when you implemented this product, and how does the whole process look today in routine use?
The implementation was very easy. I mean, the system is pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. Basically, we had trained several people to be able to load the instrumentation. And now from our end, the pathologist end is just as easy as, looking at the computer screen. We actually have in one of our hospitals, one of the systems on a cart. So we are able to bring it from room to room, either immediate evaluations or even frozen sections. So it is definitely portable as long as you have a strong internet connection, which most of the hospitals do. That's very easy. But again, from the point of view of implementation, you just have to write a few basic procedures, make sure that the person who knows how to load the instrument knows what they are doing, which is also very easy. And again, from our point of view of the pathologists, we are already used to look at cases on a screen, so there was basically no learning curve.
So I'm glad to hear it's going very well for your implementation and at your hospital. So finally, for our viewers, what types of institutions would you recommend this tool or this product for? Or rather, what kinds of pathology department? Community hospitals, large network hospitals, or even, individual consulting groups of pathologists. What type of pathology department do you think this would really be able to make most of an impact for?
Well, I think that the platform is flexible enough to be used in any type of situation, either community hospital, university hospital. Community hospitals obviously have different needs than university hospitals, but large university hospitals, they have teaching as well, and this is a perfect tool for that. Again, just to be able to provide better service. What we are trying to do here with the system is to bring the pathologist to the patient, not like it was done in the past, bringing the patient to the pathologist. This makes for better medicine, and is definitely improvement in the service that we provide to the community.
Yeah, and I'm sure it offers much more flexibility for the pathologist right now as well.
Definitely. I mean, the fact that you can be reachable anywhere and anytime versus having to, like we said before, schedule a pathologist for a particular procedure, it's a huge difference. Again, not only for the hospital, but mostly for the patient. It does not have to, wait for a schedule.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think that's all the questions we have for now. Thank you very much, Dr. Solans. I think this concludes our pre-recorded discussion for the presentation today. And lastly, if you want to prep yourself and learn a little bit more about Motic and our digital pathology solutions, please visit our website. We are doing virtual demos any time of the week right now, especially during COVID when no one's able to travel. The good news is we're providing digital tools, so a virtual demo would be perfect. And also lastly, please connect with us on Twitter and LinkedIn. We have plenty of blog posts, and you'll get all the earliest updates and be the first to know. Thank you everyone again for watching.